What's going on, everybody? I want to talk about fear and greed and how these emotions could be wrecking your account. If not now, they will be in the future. And I'm going to talk to you about how I mitigate that and keep that emotion out of my investing and trading. This is Mike, the tactical stock scalper. All right, all right. Well, I'm doing something a little different here. I'm recording on a computer. Please let me know what you think of it. If it's better, worse, or no different. Okay, so first up, there's actually an index called the Fear and Greed Index, okay? And it actually uses options to measure the fear and greed of the market. Now, I could do many videos on the Fear and Greed Index and the Fear and Greed scales, but that's not what today is about. If you want to learn more about the Fear and Greed Index, my friends, please go look that up and research it. Okay, let's talk about these emotions and how they could be negatively affecting your account. Let's start off with greed, okay? Greed is one way is FOMO. And again, there's emotion attached to it. The fear of missing out. Yeah, it is fear, but it's greed that is driving this fear. What happens is you have a stock, ETF, whatever, that is just ripping, right? I mean, that thing is going, and all you see is money that you could be possibly making. So, what do? Or what did I do in the past? I go in, and then, whoo, boy, maybe for a day, maybe for a couple days, that thing continues to go up. And then, inevitably, at least in my case, she comes right back down. It comes down really hard. Why does she do that? Well, there was no meaningful pullback, there was no corrective measure in the stock market. It just kept going up. So I would be worried about profits I was missing, get in on this thing, and it would tank. So instead of missing out on profits, I ended up losing money doing this. I'm telling you guys, the FOMO is real. Do not let that portion of greed affect you. It'll hurt when it comes back to roost. All right, next, how else can greed be really affecting your account? Like I said, I'm going to talk to you about ways to mitigate this and things that I do. Okay, there's just really happens with ETFs, particularly high yield ETFs, right? You see the dividends coming out and you're like, oh man, or it's brand new on the block and you're so excited to get into it. So what do? You're going with the big lump sum. Your excitement means greed. And you're thinking about all those juicy dividends as you go to bed, right? And over the how much you're going to be paid every month and how you're going to be helping your family. Well, what you did was you went extremely heavy at the top as it first came out. And then inevitably, like most of them do, not all the high yield funds, but a lot of them go down over time. So what's happened? You win with a huge amount. And even if you try to average down, the amount you could average down with is so minimal to get your cost basis down lower. You've shot yourself in the foot from the very beginning because your greed made you do this or your excitement. Let's talk about fear now. How is that affecting you? And I see this affecting a lot of people right now. What's happening is, let's use Tesla. Tesla is a great example. Tesla's going down, Tesla going down with it, right? So a lot of people are really nervous. And number one, their greed got to them in the beginning because they bought too much, too early, too soon. Now their fear, now they're dealing with both emotions, right? Now their fear is really getting to them. That the dividends are not covering their share price loss. All they see is this red number staring them in the face every time they look at their account. Every time it's going down and down and down. And so the fear is getting to them. So what do? They sell. They can't take it anymore. And initially, it feels good, right? I mean, you cut it, you can take a sigh of relief, and it feels really good, honestly. I've done this myself many, many times in years past. But what usually, at least in my case, what ends up happening over time, that thing starts creeping back up. And then you're looking at it and be like, man, good thing I sold. My price is way up here. What happens? It continues to go up. And not only that, you have the dividends coming back in that you're making during the downtime. And then as it's going back up, you will inevitably be kicking yourself in the rear for this. I'm not projecting that Tesla is going to rip in the future. All I'm saying is it's happened to me in the past, and I know it's going to happen again. So, how do I mitigate this? Well, one, buy in slow. Do not allow your greed to get to you guys of thinking of the juicy dividends. And I know it's so exciting, like, oh my God, I got this money now, I got this money now. Buy in slow. Take your time. Buy in at levels on the chart. I cannot stress this enough. Instead of just buying because it's red, look at the chart. Use support resistance. Realize where it could possibly go down to. And look, let's use IWMY as a great example. Lately, I do not buy in IWMY unless it gets below $195. I don't care. Get to 196, 197. I'm not buying it. I'm waiting for it to come to my level on the chart. Okay? That way I'm only buying at the price I want. I'm not allowing FOMO to get me. I'm not allowing, just because it's red, I'm going to buy. No, I'm buying at levels that make sense corresponding with the underlying. This keeps my average cost low, keeps me from overbuying. Therefore, my emotions aren't tied to it because I'm not over allocated, guys. Okay? Next, I got my notes here, and this one it's okay. And I know guys can't get this, but please, it's okay to miss out. Like I said, with IWMY is a great example. I'll share a couple more examples for me. IWMY is a great example. I don't care. If it doesn't get to 195 or below, I'm not buying it. At this point in my investing career, do not care. If I miss it, I miss it. I'm not FOMOing into anything. I'm not over allocating in anything that doesn't make sense on the chart. If I miss it, I miss it. I let it go. It does not bother me one iota. It used to. It used to bother me. Then I get FOMO and go in, and then it tank, and I should have bought lower. I stick to my plan, and that's what I do. Okay, diversifying helps immensely. It really reduces the fear because if you're not over allocated in one specific fund, but you have several in a basket of funds, well, the fund's going down. It doesn't really affect your psyche so much because the other ones, hopefully, are keeping it afloat, right? Does that make sense? So, by not over allocating, by buying at levels on the chart, by being diversified, that keeps my emotional state at bay. No, I'm not a robot. I still get emotional. But these things help to keep the emotions away and helps keep me in a spot where I can continue to make money for my family without my emotional state coming in and wrecking me like it has so many times in the past. Hope you enjoyed the content. This is Mike, the Tactical Stock Scalper.